What's going on, guys? Mega Gig back with another video, back with another build guide for the Barbarian, and we are on 2.6.1 on the live servers, guys. For a while now, the PTR has been a little bit laggy, and I always just thought that's because they hadn't fixed it, but I haven't had any lag so far today since the patch went live. So yeah, that's just a little a forethought here, and we're gonna go sort of back to the old way, at least with this build. We're going to do a Greater Rift after this. But we are jumping into the Barbarian again with the Leapquake build. Now, the first weapon, or the first thing that you're going to need, we'll go ahead and go over the gear, is the Blade of the Tribes. This makes Warcry and Threatening Shout both cause an avalanche and an earthquake. And you get a lot of damage boost for earthquakes and even avalanches in this build, but mainly Earthquake. Earthquake is kind of your secondary damage, believe it or not. So yeah, this is definitely a must for this build to work right. For the actual set, you're going to need all 6 pieces of the Might of the Earth set. The 2-piece set bonus: reduce the cooldown of Earthquake, Avalanche Leap, and Ground Stomp by 1 second for every 30 Fury you spend with an attack. We're going to be spending a lot of Fury, which is essential because we need it to reset our leap. And the 4-piece set bonus, leap, I really wish, on the 2-piece set bonus, it's got a lot of things in there. I really wish Wrath of the Berserker was in there, but unfortunately it's not. Anyways, the 4-piece set bonus, leap causes an earthquake when you land. Additionally, leap gains the effect of the Iron Impact rune, and the rune's effects and duration are increased by 100%. In case you are unaware, the Iron Impact rune increases your armor by 150% for 4 seconds, but that time is increased by 150%, so I guess that's 10 seconds? 10 or 12 seconds? Somewhere around there. Yeah, and you can actually see that right here. So that is the armor bonus. So yeah, I guess it's probably about 10 seconds. Anyways, the 6-piece set bonus increased the damage of Earthquake, Avalanche Leap, Ground Stomp, Ancient Spear, and Seismic Slam by 5,600%. So that is the new buffs from the PTR, and or from the previous patch. I guess we're not on PTR anymore. And yeah, that is a big damage boost, guys, over what it once was. Yeah, so very important to have all 6 pieces of that. For the rings, we are using Ancient Focus and Restraint. Some builds that used to use this have gone to using a Convention of Elements and the Endless Walk set. The Endless Walk set isn't really good for this build because you're always moving. So yeah, you would get the damage reduction, but you never take advantage of the bonus damage. And that's what we really need with this build, because in higher Greater Rifts, it does seem to kind of top out. There's a point you get to where you really just absolutely have to have density. Your single target damage is kind of lacking. But yeah, story for another day. So yeah, we're going with Focus and Restraint here. When you spend resources, you gain 50% damage, and when you generate resources, you gain 50% damage. So 100% damage bonus there. And for the belt, we're using the Girdle of Giants. Seismic Slam increases earthquake damage by up to 250%. And I just now found a new one. This is the old one that I was using. And yeah, unfortunately, I haven't found quite all the new gear yet. Bracers of Destruction now, the lowest it can go. This says 300 to 400%. But the new ones are 400 to 500%. And unfortunately, I haven't found any new ones yet, but Bracers of Destruction are the bracers that you need for this build. And then the Amulet, we are going with the Boon of Bolcathos passive on here, because we are running the Wrath of the Berserker version. There is a version that does not run Wrath of the Berserker. Instead, you would run both of your shouts and run Veteran's Warning or Impunity for toughness, which gives you an extra avalanche and an extra earthquake, and in which case I suggest swapping this out for Superstition. It gives you more toughness all around. The Superstition passive gives you non-physical damage reduction, and you also have a chance to gain 2 Fury, which is really good in this build as well. So if you're going that route, but we are going with the Wrath of the Berserker route this time. And yeah, that is it for the gear, except for the legendary gems here. You're going to want to use Bane of the Trapped and Bane of the Stricken, of course. This third slot is a little bit open-ended. Bane of the Powerful, even in Greater Rift pushing, seems to work out pretty well. Because when you're on the edge of your Greater Rift pushing, more than likely you're going to be fishing anyways. And so for this to take effect, you need a good rift, but if you're fishing for a good rift anyways, then chances are you'll get to take advantage of the bonus of this. And I think it goes up to 2 minutes, around like rank 85 or 90, something like that. And so a great damage boost here, and then also a little bit of damage reduction. Another option is a Gogok of Swiftness. No, not a Tegek. Not a Tegek with this build. A Gogok of Swiftness. You wouldn't really benefit from the attack speed much, but the dodge chance is really nice. And with the Wrath of the Berserker version, more cooldown is certainly helpful to keep this up more often. So a little bit of toughness and cooldown reduction, keep this up more often, is really nice. Your other option is Esoteric Alteration. This provides a flat... it doesn't provide any damage, but it provides great toughness. And your toughness with a Esoteric goes well over 1 million. Or 1 billion, excuse me. It goes well over 1 billion. With this right now, with no real buffs up or anything, we do that, and our toughness is already at 510 million, so it is a very tough build. And then I've got diamonds all around, diamonds for cooldown reduction up here too. Unfortunately, because this is not an ancient, my life per fury spent isn't as high and doesn't go as high as that. And I did happen to find a decent new weapon too, but it's got attack speed on there, which I couldn't get rid of. So my old one, I do lose 33,000 life per hit, and I will tell you, you do notice that, losing some sustain, but I've opted for the more damage overall there. So yeah, in the cube, we are using the Fury of the Vanished Peak for reduce the Fury cost of Seismic Slam, which doesn't really matter in this build, but increases the damage by 500%. Now there is a small debate going on out there, not too many, it's not too big of a debate, but there is a debate going on out there that Furnace is still an option here, and that's because not just your Seismic Slam is going to be buffed for elites and everything, but your Earthquake and everything else is also going to do extra damage to elites. Now, the damage bonus from this, though, in my opinion, and using the Rumble rune here, and we've got up to 201 Fury, the damage bonus from this is going to ultimately out-damage this by a significant amount, as long as you're hitting your Seismic Slam. Seismic Slam is directional, and so if you've got a lot of elites that are really annoying and they're running all over the screen, then the straight-up Earthquake damage from the Furnace would probably benefit, but more often than not, you're going to be able to take advantage of this. And especially when it comes to like a gold pack or the Rift Guardian, you're going to be able to hit them a lot more with this and not have to worry about your Earthquake doing, you know, a giant chunk of the damage too. But I wanted to throw that in there. That is an option. You're going to need the Loot Socks. Leap can be cast up to 3 times now within 2 seconds. This allows us to hop all over the screen and generate all kinds of Fury and all kinds of Earthquakes. Of course, you saw my Fury only go up to about half there. When you're actually hitting units, it generates an extra 15. You can see there it generates 15 Fury. It generates an extra 15 when you're hitting units, so you generate like, I don't know, 3/4 of your Fury, and then you've got your Shout too. And then Earthquake costs 25 Fury, but where is it? Where is it? Leap somewhere, I can't remember where it was, but yeah, Earthquake actually ends up generating like 5 Fury. I'm drawing a blank now on what it's from, but yeah, but you do have to have Fury to spend it. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what I mean real quick. So we've got that up, and you can see we're at 73, but then we cast Earthquake, poof, it went up. It actually went up 10. I thought it was only 5. But anyways, yeah, definitely need the loot socks. And then Band of Might is absolutely necessary too. After casting Furious Charge, Ground Stomp Leap, take 80% reduced damage for 8 seconds. This is a huge damage reduction, guys. This is an absolute must. For the skills, we are using Seismic Slam Rumble. This is going to be our Fury Dump to deal a massive amount of damage. You deal 15% weapon damage for every point of Fury as physical over 2 seconds. And it's comparable to Ancient Spear Boulder Toss, which actually does more damage per Fury spent. But the weapon for Ancient Spear only increases the weapon damage by 60% versus 500 here. And then the bracers that go along with Ancient Spear are 150%, I think, instead of the new ones going up to 500%. So yeah, that is Seismic Slam ends up out damaging Ancient Spear. Then of course we are using Leap Death from Above. And we're using the Death from Above rune to stun enemies. This kind of, you know, gives a little bit of off toughness, I guess you could say. It's not direct toughness, but enemies that are stunned obviously aren't dealing damage to you. And then Threatening Shout Falter. This causes enemies within 25 yards to take 25% increased damage. If you're really pushing at the top of your greater rifts and it's taking a few minutes to kill enemies, you can use Demoralize instead to help bunch enemies up. The closer enemies are together, the more area damage you're going to do, especially from your Battle Rage, which we're about to cover. So Demoralize is also a an option, but Falter really goes better with this build, supposedly. We are using Earthquake Molten Fury. This is the Fire rune, and it is the most damaging rune. You can still use Cave In if you like to pull enemies in and create more density, especially with the changes to Battle Rage Bloodshed, but overall Molten Fury does out damage it a bit. And then of course we're using Battle Rage Bloodshed, the new Bloodshed rune. Deal damage equal to 20% of your recent critical hits to enemies within 20 yards. And with this build, with all the earthquakes we're doing, and then the massive amount of damage that you do from Seismic Slam, and it kind of saves up your recent critical hits, and then it does 20% of that damage as area damage, essentially, to enemies in 20 yards. So, really explosive. Yeah, and really good. And then, of course, the base effect, too. It increases your damage by 10% and your critical hit chance by 3%. Then we're using Wrath of the Berserker Insanity. Of course, this is a staple in most Barbarian builds. But like I covered earlier, there is a version of this that you may have seen me play. If you want to see me play that version of it, you can look at my Leapquake buffs first and second look when they first hit the PTR, and I play the version without Wrath of the Berserker, if you are curious about that. We are using Rampage. We're going to be killing a lot of trash with this build, so this is a great skill to have. A case can be made for Brawler instead. I think Rampage is going to end up being a little bit more damage, but it's also going to give you toughness, whereas Rampage is just a flat 20% damage when 3 or more enemies are around. You probably don't want to use Berserker Rage because you're not going to be at maximum fury very often for very long. So Berserker Rage isn't really a good option there. We're using Earthen Might. A lot of people ask sometimes if they're playing this build, they can't seem to generate enough fury. This is an absolute must. This is why your shouts generate so much more fury and your leaps generate so much more fury when you're hitting enemies. So this is an absolute must, guys. This is how you fill your fury bar really fast. And then, of course, Animosity also increases your fury generation by 10%, all your different fury generators, and increases your maximum fury by 20%. Because Seismic Slam is our main damage dealer and it's doing 15% weapon damage for every point of fury we spend, we want to have as much fury as possible. Now, it's true, only leaping around will not max out our Fury. There will be some seismic slams you use where you're only at about 175, 180 maybe. But then also on when this is on rotation and when you hit Earthquake 2, you are actually doing max Fury damage. Yeah, so Animosity is another skill that is pretty much required, but there are sort of versions you can do without. I'm not going to go into those right now. And then Ruthless, of course, is a great skill. It helps us kill elite packs faster once they go below 30% health, and it also helps us clean up trash a lot faster, you know, when enemies get really close to dying and we move on. Our Earthquakes that are left on the ground will finish them off. As for Paragon Points, you definitely want to max out Fury. Movement speed isn't too necessary in this build, so I don't usually use it. You can if you want, but I don't usually. I've got some points in Vitality because my Vitality is really low on this build. I'm only at 1,000,000 right now, which is really low at my current state, and then I've got the rest in Strength. For offensive, you want critical hit chance, critical hit damage, cooldown reduction, attack speed last. Defense, generally resist all armor, life percent, and life regeneration. I've said this in a couple past videos, but I'll say it again. Life percent doesn't do a whole lot if your vitality pool is already really low. If you've only got 300 or 400k health, life percent isn't that much because obviously it's a percentage. Resist all and armor go a lot further. You can go with life regen third if you like, or even second, but go resist all first. And then you can go either armor or life regen second. I usually do armor myself, and then life regen. Because the life regen, I don't know, when you're in easier, lower content, it's not really very necessary. And then finally, you're going to go life per hit, area damage, resource cost reduction, and gold fine. Resource cost reduction doesn't matter in this build, but you don't generally need gold fine ever unless you're farming, so you can put resource cost reduction last if you like. Yeah, that is pretty much the build, guys. Yeah, if you have, like I said, these are my old Bracers of Destruction. If you have Bracers of Destruction, you will need to find new ones or upgrade them, and same for Fury of the Vanished Peak and any other items like that that got buffed. But let's go ahead and jump in, and I've got a 92, I've got 94 actually unlocked now, but because I don't have the upgraded versions of Bracer of Destruction, I've got a crappy version of this, and this gear actually isn't as good as I had on the PTR. We're just going to go with a 92. I'm fairly certain I can do a 92. I hope so, but I'm not actually certain, so I may end up failing. And I did actually roll the cooldown reduction off of my shoulders for area damage, and you can see my leap isn't actually resetting when I only use leap. But basically you jump around, dump your fury, jump around, jump around, jump up, and get down. Now when your shout comes up, you can jump around, dump your fury, hit your shout, dump your fury again, because remember, Seismic Slam is doing a lot of damage depending on how much fury we spend. So you don't have to just keep spamming your shout. You can actually use it a little more strategically. You can do 3 jumps, dump your fury again, then shout, then do Earthquake if it's up, and then dump fury again and do a lot more damage with your Seismic Slam. And you'll kind of see that as I'm playing here. And I do see a lot of friends coming online now. Everybody's really excited about the new patch. But I am appearing as offline so I can do the video uninterrupted. If you get a channeling shrine, of course, you can spam your shouts and use Wrath of Berserker as well. And this is actually going better than I thought it would. And so we're jumping around. Even if you have a channeling shrine, it's usually not very beneficial to keep hitting the actual Earthquake skill because it does take a second to cast. but in normal rotation you will want to hit it just for that extra earthquake damage. And generally, when you're pretty high up there, you're not going to be able to kill a leap pack while you're using Wrath of Berserker, but it will let you get a decent chunk of damage done to it, and then hopefully you're pretty close, or at least halfway to that that threshold, where you'll do 40% more damage when they're below 30% health. So there's that, and we'll cast that, and Earthquake again, and then another Seismic Slam. And this is not the way I was looking for. And if there's a lot of density, you can feel free to go ahead and clear it out real fast. That wasn't really that great, but because of your area damage, and I did not mean to hit my Wrath of Berserker. I hope there's an elite pack right here. There's not. Darn it, I wasted a Wrath of Berserker. Well, I'll get half the time out of it anyways. And we got a perfect Oculus Ring, so that's actually going to help a lot. Beams are really bad in this build because you kind of end up standing still in them. So spam things that you can. Don't worry about being super perfect on your rotations. Worry more about staying alive. Ha 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 ha. Staying alive. And I was hoping that would kill him. It didn't, but this will. You can see when we actually hit enemies how much more fury we generate than when we don't hit enemies. And a Conduit Shrine, that's really nice. But man, more beams. What is up with this? Every pack doesn't have to have beams, Blizzard. I mean, I appreciate the Conduit Shrine. Even if you don't have any enemies around, go ahead and jump all 3 times. That way you can get the most cooldown reduction on your leap that you can, because you do want that to stay up as often as it can. You don't have to worry too much about wasting skills like Earthquake. Remember, we are getting the cooldown reduction on Earthquake whenever we spend Fury, and we're spending Fury all the time, so try and stand in your Oculus Ring when you can, especially if it's a really good positioning like this. But whenever you dump your Fury, whenever you use your Seismic Slam, because it's going to give you a big boost depending on your Oculus Ring stats. Mine is at the full 85, I believe. And you can see our toughness there now in battle, fully buffed up. With Wrath of Berserker, it's 741. When Wrath of Berserker goes down, it's 593. Now, some people might ask, too, if you can use Parthan Defenders, Ancient Parthan Defenders. You can for more toughness, but then you're going to lose out a lot of damage. I would recommend going with an Esoteric before those. And darn, I'm really hurting here, Charlie. Our only, oh, get out! No, we died. Our only main sustain is life per fury spent, because like I was comparing with my other weapon, I don't have very much life per hit. And life per hit is supposed to work with Earthquake, and I tell you, I notice a pretty big difference sustain-wise. Man, this is just hurting a lot. This dude is doing all kinds of damage. And I don't really want to get hit by that. And we're going to die again, unfortunately. But we're doing okay time-wise. Now remember, we don't have any real option to fight off crowd control except for our Wrath of Berserker, and that's only up for 20 seconds. Up for 20 seconds out of every, you know, it's a minute and a half, because we're using the Volcathos passive on our Hellfire Amulet. And not very good density here, which means our damage is going to kind of be lacking. But we've got a good Oculus ring here that we can use. You can see those giant chunks of damage from our Seismic Slam. And I may end up throwing that cooldown reduction back on my shoulders. I think I'd rather do that than switch to a Gogok of Swiftness, because I like that extra damage from the Bane of the Powerful. And I actually forgot to mention something that I really just noticed, and you guys may know this. I actually did not know this, and I don't know if this was changed recently. I don't remember it being like this before, but on gold packs you have to destroy every enemy to get the effects of Bane of the Powerful. It says after killing an elite pack you gain the damage bonus. You do have to kill the entire elite pack, not just the gold. And I was pretty sure... Come on, get out of my way. I was pretty sure it used to be you could just kill the gold and move on, and I don't remember if and when they changed it, but as of now you do have to kill all of the units, which I didn't back there, I don't believe, on the last floor, because when I looked down I didn't see my Bane of the Powerful buff, and you guys may have been hollering at your screen telling me that. So but if you didn't know that, now you do. But because Bane of the Powerful only lasts so long, it is beneficial to really try and find elite packs. Maybe not necessarily elite hunt, but yeah, I haven't done a very good job of finding elite packs here to take advantage of it, and I'm about to lose the buff. But we've had these little pockets of density that have been pretty good, and I have a hard time skipping them, even though they're probably not very beneficial. And this floor is decent density, but it hasn't been a very good layout, and there's like no elites. 2 elites on this whole floor so far. And there's the floor in. Ah, there's 2 more elites. Alright, well, we're gonna Hulk out right now. Hopefully that other elite will come up here with us. Our Oculus ring is in a good position, except for all those beams. There we go. That'll work. And we might actually die here. We're kind of stuck. And I probably should have just hopped out of there. Are both of these guys arcane enchanted or just one? I can't tell. If you are running an esoteric, you more than likely don't have to worry about arcane beams. I've ran this build quite a few times with an esoteric, and your toughness is just so high, you don't really have to pay too much attention. And no, this guy is not arcane enchanted. But we're probably going to get the Rift Guardian after this, so I'd really like to kill the entire pack and get the effect of the Bane of the Powerful. And I think this guy over here is the last of that pack. This isn't. No, there's another one there. Darn. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we're going to kill this gold because his pack is gone. Yeah, there we go. That was kind of a waste. So yeah, I know I didn't play very good this video. Sorry about that, guys. Not up to my normal 6 out of 10 playing style. Oh, that hurt. That hurts so much. Ah, man, I've died so much in this video. This guy hurts a lot. You can see our toughness without the strength bonus. So we want to do as much damage as we can while our Wrath of Berserker is up. And remember, we are stunning with our leap, and we can stun the Rift Guardian, so if you're not seeing, he is being stunned in there. Should probably hop around him a little bit more, and we might just get this. With the right gear on the PTR with this build, I was doing a 95 fairly easily, so yeah, once you get the full new and upgraded gear, you'll be alright. And if we die, we actually won't get this. But I think we're going to just get it. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so there is the new Leapquake. It's not really that new, but the upgraded version. And make sure you get all the new gear when you can. It might take you a while. Take advantage of upgrading yellow items in the cube, buying things from Kadala and upgrading them, and then, you know, cube what you can and use what you can. So yeah, from 400 to 500% damage on here. The new one is up to 500%. That's quite a bit that I'm missing, and then missing 38% here, and so that is a pretty big yeah, pretty big damage, 2 different damage bonuses there, so keep that in mind. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the build. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you guys for watching. More good stuff to come. Take care.